What's going on, guys? Welcome to the video. Well, it seems number 10 and Boris Johnson are going to investigate these Remainer MPs for foreign collusion amid a plot to allow John Bercow to send a surrender letter to Brussels asking for a delay to Brexit. Of course, this is because Boris Johnson has outright refused to do that and said he never will, obviously intending to get round the Benn bill, which, if they're investigating Remainer MPs foreign collusion, the Benn bill could very well be scrapped and these fuckers might well end up in a serious amount of trouble. Who knows what will actually happen should they be found to have actually colluded with the EU, but I expect the outcome won't be pleasant for them. But anyway, let's check out what this article has to say on the probe against these Remainer MPs. It says, investigations into alleged links between foreign governments and the Surrender Act MPs. Officials received intelligence that MPs had received help drafting the bill. The investigation could force Prime Minister Boris Johnson to delay Brexit. Rebel MPs have drawn up plans for a second act, Mail on Sunday has learned. It would allow John Bercow to bypass the PM if he cannot strike a deal to leave the EU on October the 31st. So guys, their treachery is not finished yet. It seems there are still many more little plots and plans up these Ramona's sleeves, which explains why Boris Johnson has not been forthcoming with his own plans and plots to get round the Benn bill and take us out on the 31st of October. The article continues, Downing Street has launched a major investigation into alleged links between foreign governments and the MPs behind the Surrender Act, which could force Boris Johnson to delay Brexit, the Mail on Sunday can reveal. Sources said Number 10 took the unprecedented action after officials received intelligence that MPs, including former Cabinet Minister Oliver Letwin, had received help drafting the bill from members of the French government and the European Union. So they've actually named names here. Former Cabinet Minister Oliver Letwin had received help drafting the bill from members of the French government and the European Union. Considering he's a former Cabinet Minister, that has to be highly against the fucking law. This newspaper has also learned that Rebel MPs have drawn up plans for a second act which would allow Commons Speaker John Bercow to bypass the Prime Minister if he cannot strike a deal to leave the EU on October the 31st. The new law would allow Mr Bercow to personally ask Brussels for a further delay on behalf of the Commons, which is what they all want, guys. Let's remember, they're all after them having control of what happens in the Brexit debate, with the aim of trying to stop it, of course, especially John Bercow. The rebels have even discussed using the legislation to give Mr Bercow the power to appoint a new British commissioner to the EU, with pro-Remain former Home Secretary Amber Rudd mentioned as a candidate. This is of course going back to something I've discussed in previous videos and on streams, where Boris could just refuse to appoint a commissioner and put the EU right in the shit. The Benn Act, passed earlier this month and controversially dubbed the Surrender Act by Number 10, states that if Mr Johnson fails to win a deal by the end of the next EU summit on October the 18th, he must write a letter to Brussels asking for the UK's departure to be delayed until January 31st, something which he says he will refuse to do. And Mail on Sunday note, calling the Benn Act the Surrender Act is not controversial, that is what it is, it's an accurate description. Under the rebel plan, the Commons would sit on October the 19th, the first Saturday sitting since the Falklands War in 1982, to pass a new bill giving Mr Bercow the power to write the letter. A senior Commons source said the rebels say that if Boris wants to play with nuclear weapons, then so will they. I don't think Boris has even gone nuclear yet, mate, so this Commons source is talking shit. I think Boris's nuclear options are still to come. But last night, Number 10 hit back amid claims from senior sources that Mr Letwin had agreed the January 31st date in the first Benn Act with figures at the French Embassy in London. Other members of the pro-Remain group, which include former Chancellor Philip Hammond and ex-Attorney General Dominic Grieve, are suspected by Downing Street of having been assisted in drafting work by members of the European Commission. Last night, a senior Number 10 source said the government is working on extensive investigations into Dominic Grieve, Oliver Letwin and Hilary Benn, who tabled the bill, and their involvement with foreign powers and the funding of their activities. Governments have proper rules for drafting legislation, but nobody knows what organisations are pulling these strings. We will demand the disclosure of all details of their personal communications with other states. The drafting of primary legislation is collusion with foreign powers and must be fully investigated. However, Number 10 declined to discuss what evidence they had against the MPs or the exact scope of the probe. A spokesman for Mr Hammond last night said it was categorically untrue that he had drafted any legislation with the help of the EU, and Mr Grieve dismissed the allegations as ridiculous, adding the tone of these statements comes across like the propaganda of a totalitarian state. How can you call something a totalitarian state when you MPs, who have no fucking right to do it, took control of the Commons and passed laws that prevented something the people voted for? Please don't tell me about authoritarian or totalitarian states, you fucking tosspot. The fucking cheek of this prick. The incendiary developments came as Foreign Secretary Dominic Raab vowed in an interview with this newspaper to thwart the shoddy and ramshackled surrender bill. Go on, Raab, kick it in the cunt, mate. Boris Johnson arrived at the Conservative Party conference in Manchester with girlfriend Carrie Symonds, while his political opponents back in Westminster ramped up their plotting, with the Scottish Nationalists leading calls for a no-confidence vote. Police investigated complaints about Brexit Party leader Nigel Farage stating, "We'll take the knife to civil servants after Brexit," but concluded that he had not committed an offence. Obviously. Number 10 strategist wargamed whether Mr Johnson could stay in power if he was forced by the courts to delay Brexit, but Tory MPs warned that he would be toppled if he did. Jacob Rees-Mogg used an article in today's Daily Mail on Sunday to rally the troops, promising that a golden era awaits after Brexit if the party stops bungling Bolshevik Jeremy Corbyn from becoming Prime Minister. Downing Street enforcer Dominic Cummings said that Mr Johnson would emulate US President Bill Clinton by flourishing in the face of scandal and political turmoil. Hopefully he's not getting his dick sucked under the desk by his secretary, and it's Carrie that's doing the sucking under the desk. I don't think he needs that sort of scandal. An exclusive Mail on Sunday survey found that voters prefer a no-deal Brexit to a Corbyn government, including pro-Brexit Labour supporters. Well, I think most pro-Brexit Labour supporters would prefer fucking Joe Swinson to Jeremy Corbyn right now. A pro-Corbyn activist who is tipped to win selection for a safe Labour seat was revealed to have made vile slurs about Mr Johnson's mother. And he will still be selected for the Labour seat. It's Labour after all. They don't care what you say about people's mothers, about people's races. They're not exactly well known for their inclusion, are they? They're being investigated for anti-Semitism, for fuck's sake. Details emerged of how Mr Johnson arranged for his friend Jennifer Arcuri to meet Prince Andrew at Buckingham Palace. I hope she was over the age of 18. A leak from top National Security Council reveals Mr Johnson is studying plans to extract British children of Islamic State fighters from Syria, despite a cabinet rift. I don't know why the fuck he would be doing that, but that won't go down well, I can tell you that much. Well, that's going to be the end of the article, guys. It seems that at least number 10, Boris Johnson, Cummings and the rest of them are actually going to try and take these MPs to task and find out if they did collude with foreign governments, namely the French and Oliver Letwin, along with Dominic Grieve and Philip Hammond. Of course, they have denied this, but they would do. Hopefully, like they did, they can subpoena some documents and see if we can find out what actually happened, because it's overdue. I've heard a lot of people in my comments talking about this, and we have speculated on it a few times before now. So it's definitely feasible. Number 10 should have been doing this already, in my opinion. But that's going to be the end of the video, guys. I want to thank the channel's PayPal, Patreon and Subscribestar members for supporting the channel, along with everyone who watches my videos. Remember to let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. Leave a like, subscribe with the notification bell and share this video as it helps the channel a lot. And I will see you all in the next one.
This Parliament is a dead Parliament. It should no longer sit. It has no moral right to sit on these green benches. They don't like the truth. Twice they have been asked to let the electorate decide upon whether they should continue to sit in their seats, while they block 17.4 million people's votes. This Parliament is a disgrace, but they're too cowardly to give it a go. But the time is coming. The time is coming, Mr. Speaker, when even these turkeys won't be able to prevent Christmas.